Hi everyone. So now let's learn about the concept of kernel modules in Linux system. So previously when we learned about Linux history, we learned that from Linux version 2.0, the concept of dynamic loading of modules was being developed. So it is possible that the Linux kernel has the ability to load and unload arbitrary sections of the kernel code on demand. So kernel code can be loaded on demand and it can be unloaded on demand. Okay, that possibility was developed from Linux version 2.0. So basically the meaning of kernel modules is nothing but portions of the kernel code which can be loaded and unloaded on demand and which will be independent of the rest of the kernel. So whenever required, some portions of the kernel code, not the entire kernel code, some portions of the kernel code will be loaded on demand, and when it is not required, when it is not in use, it will be unloaded. So that is the meaning of kernel modules. So this will be independent of the rest of the kernel. So there is no restriction on what can be implemented as a kernel module. So since there is no restriction, you can implement anything, like you can implement a device driver as a kernel module, you can implement a file system as a kernel module, or you can implement a networking protocol also as a kernel module. Kernel modules are nothing but, be reminded that kernel modules are nothing but uh, portions of the kernel code which can be loaded or unloaded on demand. They are not going to be there in the kernel memory permanently. They will be loaded on demand when required, and when not in use, they will be unloaded from the kernel memory. And with this concept, you can implement anything, like you can implement the device driver code. Device drivers code can be loaded when required, and they can be unloaded when they are not in use. File system can be loaded when required, and it can be unloaded when not in use, etc. Now, if you ask me what is the benefit of having such a kernel module concept is, let's say if I'm developing a new driver code, we know that Linux is a free open source software. So anybody can take the code, modify it, use it, or distribute it. So if I'm developing a new driver code, and if I have to recompile, relink, and reload the entire kernel, it is going to be a difficult task. But if we make use of this concept of kernel modules, the can be only the driver code can be compiled on its own, and it can be loaded into the already running kernel. Okay, so compiling and loading the driver code alone is very easy compared to recompiling and reloading the entire kernel code. So that is why this kernel module concept is very useful for the Linux operating system. And we also saw the general public license GPL, which dictates the licensing terms for the Linux operating system. So under GPL, it also allows a kernel module interface. Through the kernel module interface, third parties can write and distribute device drivers or file systems which could not be distributed under the GPL. So if there is some device driver or file system which is not distributed under the GPL, it allows third parties to write and distribute their own code. So based on that, it allows the development of such types of kernel modules. So the benefit of this types of kernel modules is it allows a Linux operating system to be set up with a standard minimal kernel without any extra device drivers built into the kernel. You can just, when you are starting, you can just start with a minimal standard kernel. What do I mean by that is, if let's say you can just start your Linux system with one standard kernel without any device driver built into it. That means if in case during execution, if the user needs any particular device driver, that can be loaded at startup, or it can be loaded on demand. Whenever it is demanded, then the device driver code can be loaded, and it can be unloaded when not in use. Let's say, for example, you have a CD-ROM driver. Only when the CD is mounted onto the file system, the CD-ROM driver can be loaded into the kernel memory. And when the CD is dismounted from the file system, CD-ROM driver can be unmounted from the kernel memory. So with this, even if you don't have the device driver code also, your kernel can be set up and it could be run. So that is the benefit of using kernel modules in your Linux system. So this kernel module support under the Linux operating system functions by using three types of components, namely module management system, driver registration system, and the conflict resolution mechanism. Okay, let's see about each of them in detail. I just repeat, we have three types of components for providing kernel module support under the Linux operating system, namely module management system, driver registration system, and conflict resolution mechanism. So first one is your module management system. The main function of this module management system is it has to load the binary contents of the kernel module. Whenever demanded, the binary contents of the kernel module has to be loaded into the kernel memory. And in case if this just loaded kernel module is referencing to some kernel symbols, then this module management module has to ensure that those symbols are pointing, references to such kernel symbols within the kernel memory are pointing to the correct locations in the kernel's address space or not. Okay, so the first task which it does is it has to load the binary contents of the kernel module onto the kernel memory. And in case if that kernel module is referencing to some kernel symbols within the kernel memory, then it has to ensure that such references are pointing to the correct locations within the kernel's address space. So basically, module loading consists of two things. One is it has to manage the kernel module code. The second one is handling of the symbols which the kernel modules are referencing. That should also be done by the module management. So basically, there are two stages in module management. First one is the loading of the module, and the second one is the module requester. So what happens in loading of the module is, in loading of the module, first the module we have something called as module loader utility. The module loader utility is the one which will do this module loading task. So first the module loader utility will ask the kernel to reserve a continuous area of virtual kernel memory. Okay, if it has to load the kernel module, it should have some space in the kernel memory. So first the module loader utility will request the kernel to reserve some space for the kernel module. Okay, the next step is kernel will allocate some space for the kernel module and it will return the address of the allocated memory space. So then the third step is, after getting the address for the kernel module, the module loader utility will relocate the module's machine code to the correct loading address. So address has been already returned by the kernel in the second step, right? In that address, that corresponding kernel module will be loaded into the memory. So the next step would be to use a system call, with the help of a system called the actual kernel module. And if there are any symbols which are referenced by the kernel module, that all those symbols will also be passed to the kernel. Okay, through the system call, the module itself will be copied into the allocated space, into the space which is allocated for the module in the kernel memory. And if the kernel is making use of referencing to some symbols, then all those symbols also will be updated in the symbol table for the kernel. So these are all the different steps which will be carried out in the loading of the module. First step is, the module loader utility will request for allocation of some space for that module. And after the space is allocated, the module will be copied into the allocated space, as well as the kernel symbol table will be updated with the new symbols which are being referenced by the loaded module. The second part, so this is your first part in module management. First stage in module management is loading of the module. Second stage in module management is module requester. So let's see what is done by module requester. So in this module requester, so first of all, a communication interface has to be established between the kernel and the module management program. Okay, so for the kernel and the module management program to interact or to connect, the kernel defines a communication interface, and then through this communication interface, the module management program will connect. So now there is a communication interface between the kernel and the module management program. So after this connection is being established, whenever any process requests for a device driver or a file system which is currently not in the kernel memory, then the kernel will request the module management program to load that particular code, to load that particular module. Okay. So first of all, a connection is established between the kernel and the module management program. After the connection is established, whenever any process requests for a device driver or a file system or a network service which is currently not in the kernel memory, then the kernel will contact the module manager, and then the module manager will load that appropriate device driver or the file system into the kernel memory. And then once it is loaded, it will start its execution, and then it is also the responsibility of module manager to periodically check with the kernel. It will periodically check whether the loaded module is still in use. In case if it finds out that the loaded module is not currently actively in use, it will be unloaded from the kernel memory. So that is also done by the module manager process. So that is what is done by the module requester. To summarize, we saw that there are two stages in module management. First stage is loading of the module, which is nothing but to load a kernel module dynamically. First of all, space has to be allocated for the kernel module. So first module loader will request for some space to the kernel. Kernel will allocate the space. Then the kernel module will be loaded into the kernel memory along with any symbol table which is required by the kernel module. The second stage is module requester. In this module requester, first a communication interface is established between the kernel and the module manager. Once this is established, whenever a process requests for a device driver or a file system which is currently not in the kernel memory, then the kernel will contact the module manager, and the module manager will load the kernel module, that is the driver module or the file system, into the memory, and then the service will be executed. But then module manager will also be periodically checking whether this dynamically loaded module is still in use or not. If it is currently not actively in use, it will also be unloaded by the module manager. So all this is done as part of module management. The next one is about driver registration. So to recall, we saw that the kernel module support under Linux has three components. So we just now we saw the module management system. Second, we are going to see about the driver registration system. So under driver registration, what happens is that so in the first stage, what happens? The kernel module will be loaded by the module manager into the kernel memory. But even though the kernel module is loaded into the kernel memory, it is still an isolated region of memory. Okay, the rest of the kernel has to know what is the functionality which is provided by the dynamically loaded kernel module. Okay, so that for that we need to do this task of driver registration. Driver registration is the task in which the other kernel modules, that is the kernel modules, informs the rest of the kernel about what functionality it is providing. Okay, with this driver registration task, kernel modules are allowed to tell the rest of the kernel about the functionality which it currently provides. So for that, what the kernel will do is it maintains a dynamic table which contains information about all the known drivers and then all the set of routines which allows drivers to be added or removed from this table at any time. So whenever a new device driver is dynamically loaded into the kernel memory, this dynamic table maintained by the kernel will get updated. And for doing this task of driver registration, this registration tables may contain the following four items. One is device drivers. The second one is, that is, your registration table may be created for these types of items. First is device drivers. So in this device drivers can be anything, like you can have information about the device driver for character devices like printers, mouse, etc. Or you can have device driver information for block devices like disk drives. Or you can also have information about network interface devices. The second one is your registration table may also contain information about the file systems. Like for example, it might be a virtual file system or it can be a network file system or so something like that. So all the virtual file systems calling routines will be maintained in this registration table. The third one is it can also maintain information about the network protocols. So a particular module which is loaded into the kernel memory, it can implement an entire networking protocol like an IPX protocol, or it may simply implement a new set of packet filtering rules. It may simply implement some rules for a firewall, something like that. So either the module which is loaded may implement a full networking protocol, or it may implement just a subset of rules, packet filtering rules. So all that information will be maintained in the registration table. The fourth one is the binary format. So this format will specify a way of in which way the executable file has to be loaded, in which way the executable file has to be recognized. All that information will be stored in the binary format. So information about all such items will be stored in the registration tables, which will be maintained by the kernel. So one module may register many types of drivers, and it may also register more than one driver. So that is all about the driver registration module. So in this driver registration part, we learned that Whenever a kernel, after a kernel is loaded into memory, it is not complete. It has to inform the rest of the kernel about what functionality it provides. So that is maintained with the help of dynamic tables, which is maintained by the kernel. In that, the kernel separately maintains information about different types of items. It maintains information about under different categories like device drivers, file systems, network protocols, and binary format. The last kernel module is your conflict resolution module. So under conflict resolution, we know that device driver is nothing but a control program which controls a particular type of device which is attached to a computer. Okay, so this a device driver can also be a loadable kernel module. A device driver can be a loadable kernel module which manages the data transfer between the device and the operating system. So whenever you are having the concept of modular device drivers, then such modules should be prevented from clashing over access to hardware resources. Modular device drivers means your device drivers are going to be loaded like kernel modules. Device drivers are going to be loaded as kernel modules means that they are going to be loaded on demand and they are going to be unloaded when not in use. So in that case, whenever they are loaded, they should not be clashing for the hardware resources. So that is done by this conflict resolution module. So conflict resolution is basically a mechanism which allows different device drivers to reserve the hardware resources as well as it will also protect their own resources from being used by other drivers, other device drivers. Okay, in order to provide for conflict resolution, what the kernel will maintain is it will maintain a list of allocated hardware resources, and whenever a device driver wants to use a resource, it has to first reserve the resource with the kernel. It has to first request and it has to it has to reserve the resources for itself. Then only it can use the resource. So in that way, conflict resolution is avoided. So the main aim of the conflict resolution module is to prevent modules from clashing with one another for access to the hardware resources. And the second reason is to prevent auto probes. So sometimes periodically auto probes will be conducted. Auto probes are required for searching for hardware resources, available hardware resources. So such auto probes should not take away the resources of existing device drivers. So that is also ensured by the conflict resolution module. And similarly, multiple device drivers should not try to access the same resource at the same time. That is also one task of conflict resolution module. So in order to do all this conflict resolution, kernel maintains a list of all the allocated hardware resources. And whenever a device driver wants to use a resource, it has to first reserve the resource with the kernel database. So what the kernel will do is, if the resource is available, if the resource is not in use by any other device driver, the resource will be allocated to the device driver module. In case if the resource is already in use or if it is not available, then the resource reservation request will be rejected. If the resource reservation request is rejected, then the requesting device driver, if it cannot continue, it can request the kernel to unload it, or it may carry on with alternative hardware resources. So both are possible and that decision is left to the device driver itself. So that is how different types of components work together to implement this concept of kernel modules. To summarize, we saw that kernel module is nothing but a concept in which sections of the kernel code can be loaded and unloaded on demand. Whenever required, they will be loaded onto the kernel memory, and when not in use, they will be unloaded from the kernel memory. This is a very useful concept because your Linux operating system can run with the standard minimal kernel with no need of extra device driver code built into it. Whenever required, we can load the device driver code, and whenever not required, it can be unloaded from the kernel memory. And this is supported with the help of three types of modules, namely module management system, driver registration system, and conflict resolution mechanism. Under module management module, it performs two important tasks, namely, first it will load the module. For loading the module, first it will request for memory space to the kernel, and once the kernel allocates the memory space for the kernel module, for the dynamically loadable module, then it will load the module in the allocated memory space. Along with it will also pass the symbol table for the kernel module. And the second stage in module management consists of module requester, where a communication interface will be established between the kernel and the module management program. And after that, whenever a process requests for a driver or for a file system which is currently not in the memory, then the kernel will inform the module manager, and the module manager will load the kernel module onto the will load the requested module onto the kernel memory. And the second part is your driver registration. So this is required because even though the kernel module is loaded into memory, it may not be recognized by other parts of the kernel. So its functionality has to be informed to all other parts of the kernel. So that is done by using this driver registration. And for this, the kernel maintains registration tables, which are nothing but dynamic tables of all the known drivers. And it includes information about different categories of items like device drivers, file systems, network protocols, and the binary format. The third module is your third component of your third component which supports kernel modules is your conflict resolution. Like if the device driver is going to be a dynamically loaded kernel module, conflicts may arise. Different device drivers may be clashing with one another for hardware resources. So this conflict resolution mechanism tries to resolve such types of conflicts among different device drivers for hardware resources. It also prevents any auto probes from interfering with the already allocated resources of device drivers. So for this, the kernel will maintain a list of all the available hardware resources and to which device driver it has been allocated. And then whenever any device driver requests for a resource, the kernel will search the database and it will grant the resource if it is available. If it is not available, it will reject the resource reservation request. And then the device driver can make the decision of whether it has to be unloaded from the memory or whether it is going to continue with other available hardware resources. So that is all about the different components which are maintained for kernel module support under the Linux operating system.